Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Steve Orma. I'm a clinical psychologist. I help men and women overcome insomnia and get consistent quality sleep. And what I want to talk about today is what causes insomnia. So there's a lot of misinformation and myths out there about what actually causes insomnia. And so I think it's important to kind of go over that and clear that up because that can create a lot of anxiety or just a lack of knowledge about how insomnia works and what causes it and what doesn't cause it. So what I want to first start with today then is what doesn't cause it, because these are the things that commonly people think cause insomnia but actually don't. And then I'll talk about what actually causes insomnia and explain what's going on there. So the first thing, so let me just go through a list of things that are commonly considered to be a cause of insomnia. So anxiety, depression, a medical problem, pain, a life stressor like, let's say you moved or you got fired from your job or you broke up from a relationship, your genetics, your diet, hormonal things. Now, I've heard from different clients all of these things for reasons why they thought they have insomnia, that these things were actually causing the insomnia. And the thing is that these things do not cause insomnia. What they do is they cause a few nights or maybe even like a week of poor sleep. And poor sleep and insomnia are not the same thing. So it is normal and it is common for everybody occasionally to have a poor night of sleep, a few poor nights of sleep, particularly if something is going on, like some of the things I described. So if you're going through a stressor in your life, that could definitely interfere with your sleep. It's going to raise your stress. It will raise your anxiety. It'll make it more difficult to sleep. If you are going through some hormonal changes, then that could affect your sleep because it could affect your body temperature and different systems in your body that make it harder to sleep. Therefore, you have some poor nights of sleep. However, that is not insomnia. So insomnia is not having a few poor nights of sleep. That's normal for everybody. What insomnia is a pattern of problem sleep that includes either trouble falling asleep, trouble staying asleep, or both. And in addition to that, that during the day you feel the effects of that. You feel crappy, you feel tired, you feel fatigued. It is affecting how you feel physically and usually emotionally during the day. So some people actually don't sleep that well at night, but during the day they feel fine. They can function, their mood is good, their energy is good, their focus is good. And usually what that means is they are getting enough sleep and their perception of their sleep is probably not good, or it's just that they've had a few poor nights of sleep, but their body is resilient and they normally have a pretty strong pattern of sleep, and so it doesn't really affect how they feel during the day. But those are the criteria, those are the things you need to have to actually have insomnia. Again, trouble falling asleep, trouble staying asleep, both of those, and not feeling well during the day. And then there's two kinds. There's what's called acute insomnia. And acute insomnia is basically anything from a week of what I described up to a couple of months. And then also that you need to have that trouble falling and staying asleep at least 3 nights a week. So it's not just one night a week or occasionally during the week you have that, but it's 3 nights a week consistently for a week to several weeks. That's acute insomnia. And then chronic insomnia is 3 months or longer, basically. So it becomes a longer term problem. And so that is what insomnia is. That is different than having a few poor nights of sleep occasionally because that happens sometimes, or you're having one of these other contributors that are triggers, anxiety, depression, a medical problem, pain, your diet, things like that. Now, so what does cause insomnia? So there usually is a trigger for insomnia, and it's usually one of those things that I described that cause initially a few poor nights of sleep, which again is normal, but in reaction to that, you get really worried about your sleep. You get anxious about your sleep. You start worrying if you're going to be able to sleep. And then a common worry is, well, if I don't get enough sleep, I'm not going to feel well the next day. I'm going to feel crappy. I'm not going to be able to function. So these are what are called negative sleep thoughts. And negative sleep thoughts create anxiety and frustration, and basically just getting worried about your sleep and being able to sleep. Okay, and that is the first cause of insomnia, or the first part is worry and anxiety about your sleep. Then, in reaction to that worry and that concern, you change your sleep behaviors. So what that means is you start the way that you actually sleep, your behaviors around your sleep, you start changing them in some way. And you do that out of the intention of trying to improve your sleep. You see, hey, I haven't been sleeping well the past few nights. I'm really worried about my sleep now. I better do something about that. And then what you do is a sleep behavior that ends up making your sleep worse. These are called poor sleep behaviors. So common poor sleep behaviors would be sleeping in, right? So if you didn't have a good night of sleep, then you might wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to sleep a couple extra hours, or I'm going to keep hitting that snooze button so I can make up for the lost sleep. And many people tend to do that on the weekends. It's what's called binge sleeping. Another poor sleep behavior is just getting into bed earlier. So if you normally go to bed, let's say at 11 p.m., if you haven't been sleeping well and you're worried about your sleep, you might decide to go to bed at 9 p.m. because you think, well, then I'll get an extra couple hours of sleep. Another one is varying your wake-up times. So obviously, if you're sleeping in, you're going to be getting up at a later time, but really, it's the varying wake-up time. So if you normally get up at 7 a.m. and then now you start sleeping until 9 a.m. and then some days you're getting up at 8 a.m. and you're kind of all over the place. And then on the weekend, you get up at 9 or 10 a.m. The varying wake-up time will mess up your sleep. Another one, and this is a really, really important one, is spending a lot of time in bed not sleeping. And I'm not just talking about like doing other activities in bed, like watching TV or doing work in bed. Yes, those things can definitely make your sleep worse or interfere with your sleep. But what I'm talking about is during your normal period of sleep. Let's say you go to bed at 11 and you get up at 7. That during that time you're in bed, a good percentage of that time you are not sleeping. And even worse, you're lying there, you're anxious, you're worried about your sleep, you might be getting frustrated, and you're spending a good amount of time in bed in that state, awake, as opposed to sleeping. That is one of the key things that creates and maintains insomnia. And then the last one I would say is trying to take an external remedy to be able to help you sleep. So that would include any kind of medication, whether it's prescribed or over-the-counter medication. That would include an herbal remedy that you might be taking, or something like melatonin to help you sleep, or a supplement. And that would also include alcohol or edibles, marijuana, things like that. That is one of those poor sleep behaviors that, in reaction to, hey, I am not sleeping well, I'm worried about that, I need to do something about it, then I'll go take this substance. And sometimes it's your doctor that's actually telling you to do that, because you go to your doctor and you say, doctor, I haven't been sleeping well the past week. I'm really worried about my sleep. And to try to help you, your doctor prescribes a medication or tells you to take some kind of substance to help you sleep. And that will make your sleep worse. The previous video that I did was on why medications will make your insomnia worse. So you may want to check that out if you are taking medications or using herbal remedies or thinking about it. So all of these things are poor sleep behaviors that will create insomnia. So it's very paradoxical that you are trying really hard to improve your sleep. You're earnestly trying to do things to make up for lost sleep. And in response to that, your sleep gets worse and you create insomnia. And then in reaction to seeing that your sleep isn't getting better, and usually it's getting worse as a result of these behaviors, you get more anxious, you get more worried about your sleep, you get more concerned, which then feeds you to even try harder to sleep and try other behaviors. And that makes you more anxious because that doesn't work. And this puts you into a cycle. And that is what insomnia is being in that cycle of being worried and anxious about your sleep and being engaged in poor sleep behaviors that maintains that poor sleep. And you don't even know you're doing it usually. So most people don't know that these things are going to make their sleep worse, because sometimes in the short term, it does help. It feels really good to sleep in. It feels really good to like crash and sleep a lot more on the weekends because you do feel more rested. But what that ends up doing is messing up your normal sleep pattern, and it helps to set the insomnia in even stronger. So that is what the cause is. Now there was the original trigger. Whatever that was, anxiety about something going on in your life, depression, medication, whatever, all those things I said. Yes, those things can be the trigger, meaning they cause the initial poor sleep that you're having. But if you didn't do anything other than maybe deal with that issue, resolve that stressor, resolve that anxiety, relieve that pain, whatever the initial thing was, then your sleep would have automatically got back to normal without you doing anything else, without worrying about your sleep, without doing any of these sleep behaviors. But it's that worry that really starts it all, because it's in reaction to, I had a few poor nights of sleep, and you think that's wrong, that's bad, that's abnormal, that's something to be concerned about, that it's that anxiety and worry that then leads you to these poor sleep behaviors, and then that creates the insomnia. So once that has happened, once the insomnia has been established and kind of taken a hold, then the trigger doesn't really matter. Meaning once you even remove that initial trigger, the insomnia will still be there, because now it's a separate thing. It's a separate problem that's been created from these things that I described, and it has to be treated as a separate issue. You can't just then go get help for your depression and that'll resolve the insomnia once the insomnia is set in. Now, that would be a good thing to do. That's certainly a helpful thing to do. And obviously you don't want to be depressed, but that alone will not remove the insomnia once those poor sleep behaviors and that pattern has been set into your regular sleep behavior. Okay? So this is really important, because if you don't know that this is what's causing the insomnia, that these sleep behaviors, these poor sleep behaviors and this worry is the thing that's causing and maintaining your insomnia, then what you'll likely do is either try harder and try other behaviors, or double down on all these things, or just keep switching to different medications and herbal remedies and supplements, thinking that is going to be the solution, which it is not. It's the thing that will maintain and make your sleep worse. Then you'll just be stuck in that pattern. You'll get kind of hopeless and more frustrated and more anxious about your sleep, because you're trying all these things and they're not working. And, then that can make you feel really hopeless about your sleep. And that's a really crappy place to be in, right? And there's no reason for you to feel that way if you know that that's the cause and that there is actually a solution. Now, there are other things that could affect your sleep. And this is mostly like what you'll hear talked about if you Google insomnia and say like, how do I overcome my insomnia or whatever, normally what you'll get is what's called sleep hygiene techniques. And sleep hygiene is things like, reducing or eliminating caffeine, getting sunlight exposure during the day, not drinking alcohol, exercise, not going on your computer or your tablet, like an hour before bed. So reducing your light exposure at night. Now, all of these things are important to do to improve your sleep, but they will not cure the insomnia. Once the insomnia is set in, these things will not eliminate the insomnia. Again, what they'll likely do is have very little effect on your sleep and then just make you more anxious and more hopeless because it's not working. So these things don't cause insomnia and they're not the cure to insomnia, but once the insomnia is set in, they can worsen your sleep, right? It's certainly not good to drink a lot of caffeine late in the day. It's not good to not get any sunlight exposure during the day and be on your tablet or computer up to the time you go to bed. Those things definitely will worsen the sleep, but they are not the cause of insomnia. So that's important to know. So what is the cure for this problem? So, these negative sleep thoughts and these poor sleep behaviors that now have become a habit, and now your sleep pattern has been set to keep, repeating not sleeping well. Well, the cure for that is what's called cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or cbt-i. Now, I have a whole video on this that I did like a week ago. You can check it out. It's The Cure for Insomnia is the title. You can, and I go into a lot of detail about what this treatment involves and how effective it is. But basically what it does is it reverses all those things that created and that are maintaining the insomnia, meaning the negative sleep thoughts and the poor sleep behaviors. And it teaches you how to change your thoughts around your sleep and change your behaviors around your sleep to be able to basically remove and eliminate the insomnia. And it's a very effective, powerful treatment. It's been incredibly well studied. So definitely something that you want to look into and check out. Okay, so that's all I wanted to talk about today, is just to be able to inform you about what is actually causing the insomnia that you're experiencing. You have not lost the ability to sleep. It's not a genetic problem that you have that you like just can't sleep because it's part of your genes. No, it's the things that I described. And now that you know that, and it's not these other things that you think it is, and that's not the solution, then you can then seek the correct solution that actually is effective, which is cbt-i, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. So if you want to learn more about this, if you're in this situation, if you are experiencing insomnia and you've been trying all these things and you're stuck in this pattern and you're frustrated and you're hopeless and you want to talk about it with me, this is what I specialize in with my clients. I've been doing this for years. As I said in a previous video, I've had insomnia myself. I've been through it. I know how much it sucks. And this is the same exact method that I use to overcome my insomnia. If you want to talk about that and learn more about cbt-i, then you can book a free 45-minute sleep strategy session with me. So this is a call. It's 45 minutes. It's for people who have insomnia or think they have insomnia and want to get more clear about what the actual problem is. And also people who really want to overcome the insomnia and not have to be stuck in this cycle. Then you can book that call with me and we'll go over everything. We'll get really clear about, do you have insomnia and what's causing it? And then what is the solution to it? And then I'll go over if you're a good fit for this, and I think I can help you with this, then we go over exactly how we can do that. So if you want to do that, you can just email me. I'm at drorma@drorma.com. That's drorma@drorma.com. And if you found this video helpful, then please click the like button below and also subscribe to this channel. This channel is dedicated to just helping you overcome your insomnia and teaching you and busting myths about insomnia and about sleep so you can sleep better. And of course, if you have any comments, please put them below. Let me know what you thought about the video, what you liked, what was helpful. And then any questions that you have about your sleep or insomnia, you can also leave there. I will read through all the comments, and then I can create other videos in the future to address those questions. All right, so that's all for the video today, and I will see you in the next video.